All right, guys, we are doing this again for the fourth time, trying to get my guests on live. And Facebook is really making me want to ring. Well, Mark makes me want to wring his neck right now. So we're gonna try this again. We're not giving up. Persistence is everything. So we're gonna keep trying at this until we get it. That's right. We're gonna keep doing this until my guest is there for you guys to see her. All right. So let me go ahead and send the invite again. I hate doing this part. Allow viewers to send you a request to join your broadcast. You know what? Maybe you can send me a request. Try and send me a request. Okay. Hey lady, we're back at it again. This is take number 4, trying to figure out how to get Latice on. Okay, let me approve it. I just approve it. Bring Latice Wilson on camera. Adding. Yay, I think we accomplished it. I told you guys, persistence is key. Yep, you should be appearing now. Woo! We didn't give up, guys. Kept doing it. This is like literally the 4th video we've done. So let's see how this works. It says adding. So I guess Facebook is doing its thing. Yay! Okay, so I see another request for Sean Weaver to be on as well. So I don't know if I actually approved both of you or not. It says approve. So I don't know what's going on. You know what? I see Sean Weaver sent the request, and it's like 2 requests. But it is saying adding. On my end, I do see your profile picture. Except Sean. Both of you guys have already been Okay, let me do it again. Let me approve you, Latice. I did 1. Okay, you should send it. You should see it again. I think because 2 people were trying to get on, and I don't know if Facebook functions like that for 2. But I just sent you. I'm sending the request to Tisa. So I resent it. I added it because I got 2 requests. 1 from Sean, 1 from Latice, and I just went ahead and added Latice. So now it's saying adding Latice. So Latice should be popping up in my right, you guys left, I guess. I don't know how it's going to be. So we're going to see. Latice, have you gotten a notification? Have you gotten anything? Okay, I'm gonna let Latice's. Okay, hold on. Okay, let me do it again. Send the request again. Sean, send the request again. Okay, if you hit accept, then it should be. I don't understand what's going on. Okay, here's the request again. Okay, this is Sean. Okay, I just approved. They'll receive an invite to join your broadcast. Okay, so I added it. So Sean, it's adding you. Oh, something just happened. Yeah, you know, want you on here, Latice. Latice, you must be about to say something, honey. Okay. Sean, you are approved. Okay, I'm adding Sean again. What is going on with Facebook? Sean, you are.
Hey.
Oh my God. You are approved.
Can you see me?
Oh my goodness.
Hey, y'all.
Finally.
Hold on.
Stand it right there.
Hold on, girl.
Finally, everybody, she is here. Elder Latisse is with me. Elder Latisse, you think we might need you think we might need to go into prayer?
Oh wait.
No, Mike, that's you here.
Which one am I on?
This just the playback.
Oh, okay. You know,
Just share your page.
I don't know how to share it on my page.
Oh, you know what? You're gonna have to share it from the laptop. Share it from another device. You're not gonna be able to share it from whichever one is capturing you right now. You got to share it from a different device because I'm about to do the same thing on my laptop. All right, guys. Hi, guys.
Hey,
Miss Ross here.
Hi, my twin.
Yes, your twin for real.
Hi, Henrietta. Hi, Janae. Hi, Portia.
Elder, you look so beautiful.
Thank you.
You look so beautiful and vibrant, and I'm like, okay, look at that supermodel in the corner over there. You looking good, sis. Hey guys, you know what? This is a special edition of Miss Ross Radio because this is my oldest sister, and I know a lot of you guys think that you guys know how I am, right? And I know you wonder where does she get that from? Well, guess what? It had to be somebody before me, so I can't take all the credit. And there she is, Elder Latisse. Say hey, sis. That's my big sister.
Hey, everybody.
So I'm gonna share it really quick, guys. Hold on. I'm about to share it to my page as well. Cause we got a conversation for you guys. Let's see. Okay, share. Hold on, let me tune in. All right, so it's on my post now. It's on my page.
I got to refresh.
Hey, KK.
Hey.
Please leave your message for
You might want to text it. What are you doing?
Gonna share it to my page.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to Elder.
Hey.
Hey, you guys, don't be ashamed or afraid to hit those love buttons, all right? Y'all give us some love. Hit those hearts. Double tap, triple tap. Y'all show us some love, all right? Let me show y'all how to do it. I don't know. Well, I might not be able to do it from my laptop. Thank you. That's right. Y'all make sure y'all show us a lot of love.
Hi, Mama Pell. Hi, Dion.
Don't be afraid
For
to
the record, I don't do live too often.
And you guys make sure you share it, okay? You guys make sure you share this live. Hey, Nandra. Who else joined us? My beautiful sis, Nene, Janae, Riri.
Hi,
Sean.
Janae.
I see Sean. Miss Williams is tuned in. All right, guys. Appreciate the love and support. Thank you guys for tuning
I love
in.
you and miss you.
All right, guys. For everyone who's just now tuning in, this is a very special edition of Miss Ross Radio because a lot of you guys know I normally do my morning show Friday mornings, and just morning I did not go live. So I actually was talking to Elder Latisse earlier this morning, and we decided we're gonna go live because we do have, I don't want to say if it's an issue or not, but we do have a conversation that we think is not an issue, right? Is it an issue?
Not an issue. No, I don't think it's an issue. I just think it's dialogue.
Okay. perfectly worded. Okay, so it's not an issue, dialogue, all right? So it's kind of what I had been talking about. For those of you who did not watch my previous post on last week, I talked about basically beautiful women, independent, strong women who have been stereotyped as not being able to secure a husband. So this conversation is pretty much still along those lines, but we are talking tonight in terms of Christian women. You know, those virtuous, God-fearing, faithful Bible believers. They're in church, you know, Bible study. And this is where Elder comes in, because she had the question of, her question was basically, and you know what, I wanted to know this answer as well. What is up with guys who seem to be a little standoffish, black men, when it comes down to Christian women? You know, is there something in, you know, about her title that makes you not want to approach her? Do you think Christian women are not approachable? Because we all know that Christian women, they love God first. So is that an issue of her loving God first, which is why you feel as though you don't want to approach her? Like, what is the problem with that? So that is pretty much, is that kind of summed it up, Latice? I mean, I want you to chime in.
And it's not so much, how can I put this? Getting approached is one of the things, and one of the things that was shared with me is I'm very, I look intimidating. And I don't think it's so much me being intimidated versus the anointing that's on my life. So I think a lot of times when men see strong, independent Christian women who love God, that sometimes is a struggle for them to step out of their comfort zone, especially if they are not confident. You know, and I have a lot of friends. This topic is very dear to me because, again, you know, I am single. I do love God. You know, God is first in my life. And I have a lot of friends who love God and are single and are faced with this challenge, you know, as well. So my question, you know, that I ask a lot is, why do men shrink back from approaching Christian women?
So this is my question to you. Because, okay, and let me say this, guys, because when she says Christian women, I'm not just saying like she's a Christian and I'm not, you know, because I'm basically, you know, giving her the title of Christian as a Christian woman. It's just, I believe in God as well. I go to church. I was raised in the church. The reason why I consider her to be a virtuous woman, and I put that title on her head a lot, because I feel as though she is walking the walk and talking the talk. Like, we have a lot of people out there, you know, say they love God and we go to church and we do all these things, but there's far and few in between, in the middle of that group of people who are actually living that life. You know what I'm saying? And I can honestly say that I don't fully live that life. That's why I got Elder in my life, because that prayer warrior keeps me up in prayer, because I need it. But so that's why I give her the title as, you know, that virtuous woman, that Christian woman. But I want to ask you a question, Elder. Do you think that is more so of them, you know, feeling like that anointing on you, or do you think that maybe it's something that you're putting off? Because mind you, you are anointed. So could it be your spirit that's kind of keeping you standoffish, to where when certain men come your way, your spirit automatically sends an alert like, no, negative, ain't equally yoked? I mean, do you think it's you, or do you think it's the guy?
I think it's a combination. I absolutely agree with this. My phone paused, so I'm hoping that I didn't miss part of your question. One of the things, when I got a divorce, I realized today, I was sitting kind of reflecting, and Holy Spirit brought it back to my remembrance that I had only been with one man in 18 years. And my son just turned 18, and I was married prior to my son being born. And I was with that man for a very long period of time. But when I went through the process of divorce, one of my prayers to God was, do not allow me to do wasteful dating. I do not want to do wasteful dating. Keep me, keep my mind, keep my body, keep everything about me, because I just don't have time for it. So I do believe that if it's not the right one, I'm not going to completely. But even when I think about men in their confidence and wanting to step outside of the box, because again, I think it depends on that individual. If you are confident, regardless of who that person is. Now, if you are just flat out don't mean them any good, I do believe that there's a hedge of protection that is around a saved, sanctified woman who is believing and trusting God, that God is a big sign that says, do not disturb. And I'm okay with that. My problem is sometimes is understanding, even, and not even, my daughters, they love God, are believing God for their mates as well. And I have friends who, may be on different walks or different levels, but they don't even get approached. So there's a breakdown somewhere. And I believe that is because the man is not in his rightful place, putting God first, serving God, yielding to God, willing to sacrifice. And as women, and I'm going to be real, as women, we make it too easy. There's no such thing as dating anymore. There's no such thing as courting anymore. No. We read the Steve Harvey book or whatever books that are out about dating, and okay, we make them wait for 30 days. No, there has to be a standard. So what happens is men are not, and I'm gonna say men and women, I'm not just gonna say men, but they're not in a position where there's a standard in place. So if they can get something that's easy, they're not willing to wife good women. They're not willing to put in the work to date her, to knock on her door, to get to know her and her children. They're not willing to do that because it's easy. We make it too easy. If we have a high standard, it wouldn't be so many women that are dating for 5, 10, 15 years. I'm a believer. If we don't know each other within a year, if you don't know that you want me and I'm it within a year, what are we still talking about it for? Because clearly you are still looking for something that I am not capable to give you in your mind or in your opinion. So for me, that's wasteful dating. That's my opinion. I ain't saying it got to be your truth, but that is my opinion. You either this what you want or you don't.
It is absolutely true. And we talk about dating a lot. You and I, off camera, just you and I, we talk about this because I too am still single after my divorce. And, people ask me all the time, why are you single? That's the first question guys ask me. Why are you single? Like, what is wrong? What is going on? And I'm single by choice because, like you said, I don't have time to waste. When I get with a guy, I've done the boyfriend thing. I've done the friendship ring and all that stuff in middle school, high school. So the next guy I meet, we're not going to boyfriend. We jumping straight to fiance, and hopefully in a year we're getting married. You're not coming into my life just being my boyfriend, because I've done the boyfriend thing. Not only that, I've been married before, so it's kind of like I don't want to go backwards. So whomever I deal with, I want to know that that I'm the one, so we can go ahead and just move it forward and just do whatever it is we're supposed to be doing together. Now, I want to say this real quick, Latice. I want everybody who's tuned in, you guys make sure you chime in, okay? It's not just a discussion between Elder and myself. We want to hear from you. We definitely want to hear from men. We want to hear your side. It's not all about the women. We want to hear from you as well. So if anybody has a question, go ahead and comment, and either myself or Elder will answer, okay? So getting back to what I'm saying, I do want to ask you this, and I don't know, I think I've always wanted to ask a Christian, an elder, a pastor, when you think of dating, you don't know, do you think you may know if a man is a Christian man, and does that even matter? Like, if a man approaches you, how are you to know if he's the type of man that loves God the same? Like, and would you be willing to give a man that is not spiritually on your level a chance? Or are you going to, I mean, is it
Absolutely.
just absolutely out of
No,
the question?
absolutely I would, because I'm looking at the man's heart and his service. For me, one of the things that's going to stand out in my dating space is the way that a man serves, and not so much. He doesn't have to be an elder. I'm believing God for a man that is spiritually sound, a man that is willing to dedicate his life to Christ. Because again, I do function in ministry, and I'm believing God to expand territory in my life. So I'm not going to, at 45, I don't have time to carry him. I need him to cover me as I will be covering him, but to carry him, I'm not going to do that. Been there, done that. But if it's somebody that say they are in ministry, they are serving in ministry, absolutely. I'm not just opposed to or have this mindset of it has to be someone that is up preaching the gospel. Now that's always a bonus, but it does not have to be that. So, I'm more looking at, what is this man doing in ministry? What does his life look like? And one of the things as in the dating arena that we've got to understand, we want to be wives, men want to be husbands, but you've got to allow God to put you on the potter's wheel so that he can cut some things off of you, so that when you meet your mate, you are ready for your mate. You're bringing something to the table. Now, I don't believe that everything has to be completely together, because I want to lose about 15 to 20 more. But if I believe that I got to lose these 20 before my man wants me, that's an issue. But you can't come raggedy thinking that God's going to give you his best, because the same way that women are believing for a good man, men are believing for a good woman, a woman that's not busting down club doors every weekend or don't know how to hang back from her girlfriends. And that ain't just about being a Christian. That's just basic principle 101. Do you clean up every now and then? Because I ain't gonna tell you every 7 days a week that my house is gonna be intact, but there are things that we have to become better at before God is going to join us to somebody that is believing the same thing for us. We get it twisted. Women think that they're the only one that's believing for a man that's got it together, that's saved, that's doing right, but men want the same thing too.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think
And
about,
look at let's Monique, real quick.
okay, let's
Um,
answer some of the questions.
L. Casey says, what if they're not involved in ministries, but they put God first in everything they do? I'm going to tell you, Casey, putting God first in everything you do will align you with the will of God for your life. So I can tell you right now, if you're putting God first, you can best believe that God's going to give you his very best. So I completely, yeah, you on point. First things have to be first, because if a man has already put God first, everything else is going to fall in place. And if a woman has already put God first, everything else is going to fall in place.
Absolutely. I'm trying to pull some of these questions back down that were going up so that you can answer. Do you see? I saw someone had another question. Jennifer Hester had a question. I don't know if you can still see that question. I'm trying to pull it up because they're moving so fast. Let me see if I can find Jennifer's question. And Jennifer, if you're still watching, maybe you can kind of type it again. Okay, Jennifer says that the majority of women that look intimidating are the ones who carry themselves respectfully. That was one of her well, she made a statement there, but I did see her ask a question earlier. Okay, Elder, she says, this is Jennifer Hester. She says, explain to the viewers, is it always true you can't be equally yoked without putting God first? Is that true? Her question was basically, she's asking.
Well, the word of God says that how can two walk together unless they agree? So if we're not in agreement, now doesn't mean that you have to have it all together. You have to be in agreement that God, first things are going to be first. And that's a conversation that you learn about your spouse in the courtship piece of it. We are so busy going past courtship about emotions, and sex is one of the things that really clouds our judgment. Because for me as a believer and a woman that's standing on the principles of God, you know, I can't give up any nookie prior to getting married. And I'm saying nookie because I want to make it very, very clear that, you know, I'm withstanding. My daughter said mom, so I guess I can't say nookie. So I was trying to censor it because I knew that they were on. But I think sometimes we get so caught up in the physical attractions. And don't get me wrong, physical is important, because I do believe that you have to have an attraction to that person. But when you sleep together, it clouds judgment. You can't think straight. You know, we are emotional beings by nature. So when you're sleeping together and trying to get to know the person, we tend to overlook things that are red flags, things that are, you know, flat out, this ain't the one. And we start making excuses. Well, it'll get better, or it, you know, once we get together, it'll be this way. And that doesn't work. That
and
doesn't
you know what?
work.
The truth is, a lot of relationships are out there being in their mindset bonded, and they're staying in these relationships based solely on the sex and based solely on like you said, the sex clouds their judgment, and it makes them think. I think sex gives them a false sense of love. They confuse the lust and the lustful desires that they may have for this person for love. It confuses it. And the fact that they are, you know, in this relationship because of the sex, they think that that is love. And I think they're getting it all like confused, and they're not able to clearly see, like you say, the signs of that person. Like, I think they see the signs, but the sex makes them ignore the signs.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Dion, your statement, your comment is very true. It doesn't move you at all, you know, and you know, one of the things that we as women, men, we have to get to a place that we refuse to settle. And if just imagine if everybody refused to settle, how many more marriages there would be here on earth. God ordained that we come together in a union, in a covenant agreement. But because we have twisted it, and because we have stepped into sin, and you know, when I say sin, stepped into sex and polluted and twisted the way that it was supposed to be. God ordained sex between husband and wife, but when we step outside of those the realms of the establishment that he's established for us, we just polluted. We muck it all up. So now we don't think with clear heads, and we don't make good choices and good decisions. And then we find ourselves being attracted to the same man over and over and over again. And now you wondering, why can't I meet Mr. Right? Well, it's because soul ties is a whole nother thing. That'll take up your whole broadcast for us to begin to talk about that. But you literally now have a soul tie with somebody that you were never supposed to be connected to, and you find yourself not being able to break free. You're thinking about them, you want them, even when you know that they're no good. You're wanting them, you're being pulled to them, you're being drawn to them. But imagine if there was a movement of standing your ground where you would not compromise, standing your ground where you would keep your standards up. Imagine, not just for us men and women that are waiting, but our children, how life would be so much different for them with them waiting on their mates. It's not the norm anymore. Back in the day, you heard about, there's a young man, Jay Sean Corbin, Georgina Corbin is his mother. I love this young man. And I remember he was in middle school, and he wanted to date a little girl, and he had to go over and meet her family. His parents went to meet their family. They sat down, they talked, and this is a middle school, but they were training this young man in the foundational principle of dating. And I'm like, we don't do that anymore. We don't do it with our children, and it's definitely not being done even with us. You know, it's okay if they pull up and blow the horn or text and say, come outside, I'm on my way. No, knock on my door.
What do you think about when you were speaking in terms of the soul ties? Because that is so true. Riri and I talk about soul ties all the time, and how, like, because of the sex, you become soul tied with a person. And I believe it's a stronghold. Like you say, we desire to be with these people so much, and we know they're not right for us. We've been given all the signs that they are not right for us. But because of that soul tie, which I believe is a stronghold to that person, is why we don't have the strength to get out. Now, what do you say to those male and females who, they get with these people, say they ignored all the signs, and like you said, they get involved in a situation based clearly on sex, but now they're feeling pressure. Like, say for instance, it's going to be a lot of people who see this broadcast, and they're going to feel pressured by the fact that, okay, Elder says that we need to be married, you know, we need to do this right. What do you say to those individuals who want to get married now because they may have come across this broadcast? Do you encourage them to go ahead and marry that individual? Or would you tell them, would you tell them, like, just because you've been dating for so long and now you want to get married? You know how some people start out, like you said, 5, 6, 10 years, and all of a sudden, well, Elder said we need to get married. So, because that's the right thing to do. You think getting married validates that man being the right one, or that woman being the right one? Because, a lot of people think that.
No, that ain't what I said. Yeah, I think, you really, that's why the young man, I think it was Casey, I can't remember his name, said something about first things being first. That is why you have to have an intimate relationship with God. Because I didn't, just because you with them don't mean that that's your husband or that's your wife. You need to be in the presence of God to understand and to make sure that the Spirit of God is telling you that this is your spouse, because you don't want to marry someone. And again, it's hard because nobody wants to be single. Everybody wants to have communication and date and, feel special. But when you come into agreement with something that God has not ordained, you're going to pay the price for that. And it's going to cost you more than you think. More, because the one thing is extremely difficult is to be married and still be married, but in that relationship you still feel like you're single.
What are the signs?
That's a hard thing.
To talking to the women who are in these, I don't know, back in the day, grandma used to say shacking up relationships. They're not married. They're just living with this man. What would you say to them? Like, if they say, how do I know if this man is my husband? If the man says, how do I know if this is my wife? What signs would you tell them to be on the lookout for that will give them a clear indication as to whether or not this person was God sent? What signs?
I think there are going to be different signs, but I think if you've been living, this is the thing. In relationships, if we're living together, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, you love me, I love you, we're faithful to one another. What's the problem? What's the problem? And we stay in these relationships, and it's this thing of, that's what I mean about the settling piece. It's not just settling, because you're with someone. It's bigger than that. It's being the house, or I guess you call it pretending to be the wife in the house without the ring, without the commitment. And people like to say, well, it's just a piece of paper, it doesn't change anything. Well, if I'm good enough to lay up with you, cook, clean, take care of your kids, push them out, I don't understand what the problem is with wifing me. How long do you want me to wait? And women have to flip it back on them. Are you going to continue to wait?
But the thing is, see, this is where the misconception comes with a lot of people with the settling thing. I think the fact that they feel like they're already living with the person. So this is proof that he or she wants me. He moved in with me. She moved in with me. So I think they're using that as validation to, if he didn't want me, he would have never moved in with me. So therefore, that's why it's okay for that person not to say, hey, I want you to be my wife, or I want you to be my husband. It's like they're okay with that, because the shacking up and the living together is what to them is a marriage. You know,
and
what
I'll
I'm
give
saying?
you one better. I agree. Before I was saved, I loved God. Was not functioning in ministry when I met when I started dating. Me and the person I was dating, we moved in together, and we were together. You know, we were living together. We were doing everything that a couple that couples do. And at some point, everything that we were doing, I said to self. And Casey, I'm gonna respond to your statement in just a second, but I said to self, okay, you're doing everything that a wife, you know, we done got to know each other. We were settling down. We were in a relationship, all of the above. But at some point, somebody, whether it's the man or the woman, has to decide, if I'm good enough for you to be with me year after year after year, how am I not good enough to be your wife? Or if it's vice versa, that the woman don't want to get married, how am I not good enough to be your husband? If I'm providing and doing everything that the Bible says, even if you're not even trying to do what the Bible saying, you're faithful, you're doing all of the above. At what point am I not good enough to be your wife? So you can stay in that relationship. You absolutely can for the rest of your life, if that is what you choose. But it's still not the ordained will of God. And at the end of the day, that's the bottom line. Casey, I want to go back to your comment, because you said if a man, I'm trying to find it, if a man or a woman, Monique, do you see it?
I'm looking for it.
He says, at the end of the day, a man wouldn't get married unless they're ready to get married, God or not. I completely agree. That's why it's flipped on the other person that's in the relationship. Whether he's married, ready to get married or not, you're absolutely right. And that goes both ways. But you still will not keep my life hostage because you're not willing to step up to the plate. That is a standard that anybody, man, woman, need to have, period. You may not be able to get married, ready to get married, but at some point, the other person that's in the relationship has to make a decision.
All right, Leticia is kind of
not ready to get married. And I'm okay, Billy, with you not being ready to get married. But Billy, you will not continue to keep my life hostage and me sitting on the curb hoping that one day you will wake up and say, I'm ready. Because what typically will happen, I ain't saying all the time, that Billy will wake up, and then you that have been faithful to Billy, waiting on Billy, will wake up one day and not marry you, but marry somebody else after you've given them 10 to 15 years of your life. Now, to each his own. If that's what you want to do and that's your cup of tea, no problem with it. It just won't be in my space or my children's space.
Let's go back to those signs. And I want people to understand it's very important for them to pay attention to the signs that God gives them, which is a clear indication as to whether or not a person is for you. Now, to these relationships where male or female have given their mate an ultimatum. Say you've given your mate an ultimatum to marry you within a certain length of time. And they say, okay, you know what? She says, I'm either going to leave, if you don't marry me within 6 months or a year or two. Do you think that relationship is ordained by God if you have to give a person an ultimatum to marry you? Do you think they should even marry that person after the ultimatum had to be made? I
don't think that you couldn't, because again, and I'll use, when I got married, when I started dating, we were dating. I was good. And I remember thinking, I have 2 girls in this house. And it's
Letitia's frozen for a second. You froze up for a second, but you're back. You're back.
Okay. Yeah. In that relationship, I had to start asking myself some tough questions. Do I believe that, this is my husband? I'm sure he asked himself the same questions as well. And I don't want to say, because I think, everybody gets a sign and, they choose to overlook them, or signs that they need to move on and they stay and they don't. Ultimatums, I don't even really like that term. I prefer to say come to a place of understanding that either we're going to do this, we're going to grind together, we're going to build together, you know, we getting ready to take off together, or we're not. And if we're not, let's be a woman enough, man enough to say, you know, I care about you, but I don't want to be married. And now when that information is given, it's up to the other person to make a decision whether or not they're going to stay or they're going to do something different. So I think, you know, I think everybody has signs. You're not going to meet anybody perfect. It's just not going to happen. We all got personality flaws there. Everybody got something that they need to work on or improve on. But I think we have to get to a place where we decide, once that person shows you who they are or what they are willing to do or not willing to do, the other person has to make a decision as to what they're going to do. You're in control of your actions and your choices. We settle because we allow, and I'm not talking about just men or women. I'm talking about the woman could be doing it to the man, or the man could be doing it to the woman. We settle with, well, I'm going to just wait him out, or I'm going to just wait her out, and she'll come around sooner or later. And before you know it, you look up and you 10 years into a relationship, still without a ring, still without being married, still without having the proper covering. Because most women want to be covered. Most women want to know that if I'm too weak to do it, my man gonna grind for me. He gonna figure it out. If I'm tired, if I'm tripping, he's going to cover me, and vice versa.
How serious? I want to ask this question because I get asked this question a lot. How serious is marriage? Is marriage necessary? Is it necessary to be married, or can people just choose to live together and not get married, and the love and the bond still be the same, and God still accepts the love between the two? Because, you know, people say God is love. He just wants us to love one another. Marriage is not important. You get a lot of people that say you don't have to be married. You know, he doesn't have to marry me to prove to me he loves me or he wants me, and I don't have to marry him to, you know, validate that same claim. So I wanted to ask you, is marriage a requirement, or is it an option? How important is marriage?
Well, I can only speak from the space that I'm in. It's very important. It's a covenant agreement. If God didn't want us, you know, if he didn't ordain or support marriage, it would have never been mentioned. So you know, if that's not important to you, you know, then you'll live that way. But I think for most women, it's almost like an honor to know that you have that man's last name, you know, like he's honoring you. He loves you. Because for me, love is an action word. You can love, if you love me, I don't see what the problem is, you know. And I think that's where we get it twisted at. You know, we want to stay in a place of, you know, well, let's just date. Let's just, you know, it's good. Let's not rock the boat. Well, how are we rocking the boat? By you honoring me and making me your wife and allowing me to carry your last name and to be properly covered.
Do you think that it takes a man 3 to 5 years to decide if he wants to marry a woman? When do you think a man knows that this woman is his wife? You know, when do they know that? Because, you know, women, when we get into relationships, self-consciously in our mind, even if we tell ourselves it's not important, I don't have to have a ring, in the back of our mind, we're hoping he asks us. You know, we're hoping that he comes around and asks from the beginning of the relationship. We might not say it, but a little part of us may want to be asked the question. So it goes back in to the guy. When does a guy know that a woman is the one, and how long should a woman wait to be asked that question? Like, should these women stay in these relationships for more than 3-5 years? Or should they just get out and say, you know what, you haven't asked, I've had to hint for you to ask, so I'm gone? Or should they just, like, you know, stick around and wait it out, like you say some do?
You know, again, and I can only say, for me, a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. So I believe, you know, timetables, you really can't say what the timetable is for that individual. Now, I won't be one that, you know, and I'm going to tell you, these are two different levels for me. When I with my first marriage, I'm only going to be married twice. I have one more and that's it. But with my first marriage, again, like I told you, I loved God, but I was still clubbing, partying, drinking, doing my thing, all of the above. But even as a woman who was not, and I was just a younger woman, a woman that was not loved God, but was not serving in ministry like I am now, I wouldn't stand with him for years and years. And I don't understand that. Nothing's, I mean, I don't understand that logic. And as a woman now who has surrendered to God, I'm absolutely not going to wait, because again, a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. So I feel like when you see me, I believe that Holy Spirit is all powerful enough to let you know that's the one. Now, we may not have the game plan intact, but I think you will know that, you know, there's going to be something while you're courting, while you're dating, that you're going to be like, you know what? I can't imagine not being with this person the rest of my life. And they are valuable enough to me that I'm not going to gamble and run the risk of losing them. So let me wipe them up before somebody else comes along, because I'm taking too long. And God says, you know what? This one ain't going to be right. So let me go on and put the person that I know is going to do right by her in her space. A man ain't going to want to risk that, because they're going to know what they have, whether they figured it all out or not. So
Absolutely.
I think that just the individual's preference.
Now, I want to say this, like you said before, you're not the one to just be waiting around for a man to marry you. So, and we both have been married and divorced. For me, 3 years. I told my ex-husband at 3 years, I remember it because it was the anniversary. It was a 3-year anniversary. And I remember waking up one morning and saying, you know what? I can't go, you know, any longer with you, you know, dealing with all the things that I was dealing with at the time without being your wife. Because at that time, in my mindset, I was young. I didn't want to, you know, do the relationship thing in vain. So at that moment, he was like, okay, it wasn't really a question. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, why? And it was no question. We like that day, we went down to the courthouse and we got married when I decided I was ready to be his wife. And like I said, it was no question. Now, for a lot of people who may say, you know, we have a lot of advice in regards to relationships and we're divorced, I'm going to tell you guys, if you don't listen to what we are saying, you too will be divorced and your relationship will be null and void. If you do not pay attention to the signs, you will be in the same situation that I am in, divorced, single, and waiting on God to send me the one that I was supposed to marry before I got married the first time. Now, I can say for myself, I ignored all the signs. There were signs there that I was not supposed to marry him, that he was not the one. And I would hear this voice all the time saying, no, 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 you know, But like I said, I ignored the signs. And guess what? Almost 20 years later, I ended up in a divorce. So that was just my mistake. So I think that if people paid attention to the signs and, basically pray, number one, like Elder said, put God first and keep him in it and listen to that small voice, there wouldn't be any mistakes. And you would be one of these couples that have these forever lasting marriages and God, blessed relationships. So I just wanted to clear that up for a lot of, the critics and the people that judge divorcees. I ignored the signs. That's why I'm divorced.
Dion, you are so on point. You are so on point. I want to go back to Zori. She says, is online dating okay? It's so funny that you asked that because I just had this discussion today with Doris and with my daughters. You know, they laugh at me, but I don't see an issue with it. Before I was so closed off, I'm like, nope, not doing it. I do believe that online dating, like Devonta said, you have to have the same standards. And online dating is a little difficult because you're not face to face with the person, so you don't get to see or and you can be you know, I think a little bit more naive with online dating, but I'm not opposed to that. I just think that you have to be very careful and make sure that, you know, everything that you hear, you know, you're hearing it, but still check it with the Spirit of God to make sure.
Elder, I have a question. Jennifer Hester says that, do you agree that women are full of chances whether or not they're spiritually ordained and continue to stay in relationships because the requirements and qualities that a woman looks for out of a man has been met 80% and accepts the 20% as their goal to work on together, or risk 5+ years and still not get married? I don't know
Well,
if you
you know,
see
your
that question.
sister gonna have to go back and read that herself because I couldn't follow you. Hold on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you see it? It's on my live. You should be able to. It's Jennifer Hester. You may have to read it yourself to kind of be able to. I see it on my screen.
I guess and I don't know if I'm understanding this correctly, Jennifer. And I don't want to get so caught up on the numbers, but as a woman, as a Christian woman in waiting, I can't wait 5+ years. And I do believe that we can work on goals together. I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe that. But I'm bringing something to the table. So I'm going to be wanting you to bring something to the table as well. Now, I'm not saying that we both have, you know, got to have everything in place, all of the above, because I don't believe that. But I do believe that we have to be working towards the same goals, especially if we are looking to build, you know, for me, and I'm talking, you know, build in kingdom and build in, you know, our family and all of the above. I think that we both have to bring something to the table. So chances, I took them when I was a lot younger. I don't think I'll be taking as many now. You know, I'm everything that I do now is spirit led. So you know, my decisions, my choices, I'm basing it off the leading of God, because I just don't have time to waste. And, you know, give you one better, AIDS is real. And just because it looks healthy, walks healthy, looks normal, doesn't mean it's not infected. And that's men and women. So I think we got to stop. You know, I do believe in, you know, chances to a degree, but when it comes to relationships and dating, I think we have to be careful, and we have to allow the Spirit of God to lead us, because we don't want to take a chance and end up in a pit. Not that God won't help bring you out of that pit, but why make that mistake when you simply can put God first, allow him to lead you to what you're supposed to be connected to, and women not find the men, but let the men find them, which will be the good thing. You know, we are so quick to try to do it, you know, in our own strength, and, you know, because they look good in the jeans, or, you know, their shoulders are wide, and all of the stuff that we look for, and we bypass the stuff that's important. Will he properly cover you? Will he pray for you when you're going through, when your children are sick? Will he get up in the middle of the night? Will he make sure that you have, even if he doesn't
That's
have?
right.
Is he going to
That's
provide
right.
for your household? Will he drag your butt out of the house and take you to church when you don't want to go? Will he check you, strong woman? Because I'm a strong woman, so whoever God sends me is gonna have to be a man that will
Okay.
gracefully.
What? What?
KK.
Letice, you froze up. I don't know if Letice, I'm going to give her a couple minutes, guys. But her live froze. All right, guys. I'm trying to read a couple of you guys' questions until Letice gets back on. I don't know what happened. All right, guys, we are going to, I guess, give Letice a couple minutes to get back on live. But actually, we have, it's been an hour. We actually started the broadcast 15 minutes after the hour, and it's 11. So, but I want to wait a few minutes to kind of see if Elder Letice is going to get back on live, because I know a lot of you may have a few more questions. But in the meantime, you know what, guys? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this opportunity to do my own advertisement. All right? So this is, some of you guys were asking me about my line. So I do have She Bad Fashions. And you guys, make sure you go over there and like my page at She Bad and Bossed Up. All right? You guys go over there and like that page. But this is the type of jewelry that I'm going to be signaturing. You know, I love my bangles. Kind of trying to bring that back. You know, so this is kind of like the jewelry. Most of the jewelry that I'll be having, including my sunglasses and everything, it's gold and silver. Kind of like a copper gold and silver, because that is the same color as the logo. So you guys can look forward to some costume bling. All right. This bling doesn't tarnish, doesn't fade, and it's way less. So, you know, you don't have to worry about the big price tags to look, you know, like a little bit of money, because you know how Miss Ross do it. I'm always bossed up, and I'm gonna make sure I look bossed up. All right, and I didn't have to spend $50,000. Actually, this was a gift. This piece of jewelry right here was a gift from my ex-sister-in-law, Denisa Watson. She is like the fashion guru. So every time I go visit, yes, I have to raid her closet and her jewelry box. And I fell in love with these pieces, and she graciously gave them to me. And I decided that I wanted to, it kind of inspired my jewelry line. I love it. You know, doesn't this say boss? This is like bossed up, right? This is like, hey, I'm grown. You know, I'm intelligent. So you guys make sure you log on to SheBad. All right, that's SheEBADD. All right. All right, Letice. So I guess Letice is off. So we're gonna end this live, guys. You guys can feel free to comment, and Elder and myself will reply. Okay. So you guys make sure you stay tuned and tune in to Miss Ross Radio. Every Friday mornings from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And I will be getting back to Pajama Party Convos on Saturdays, okay? That'll be from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturdays, all right, guys? Yeah, she did very, very good. And now she's calling me. But, all right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, all right? God bless. Good night.